Really good to be back and to be with you guys again. It's just a good morning for us. So yeah, my name is Brad. This is my wife Kirstin, and we want to share in a brief amount of time what we've been doing in the Philippines, what God has been doing for us. So yeah, this is a shot.
I mean, I know it's been weird, but it's...
We're in Cebu City, Philippines. So we can go to the next slide and
Next.
So yes, I'll be talking a little bit about what I've been doing specifically. We came out through a family who's been missionaries in the Philippines. Their name's Dave and Kimberly Shields, and they were pastoring our church back in 2009 when they left for the Philippines. And so they invited us out for a year, and we got a chance to kind of focus on a primary ministry and a secondary ministry that God was calling us to in the Philippines. And so my primary ministry was to a group of street kids at Balay Samaritano, which in Cebuano, the local language, means House of the Good Samaritan. And so these are kids who, for whatever reason, aren't in school. Whether their parents can't afford to send them there, or they ran away from home, or they don't have parents, or they've been kicked out and decide they just don't want to go to school anymore. These are kids who live on the streets and beg for money from people walking through. And so right away, that was something I noticed when we came to the Philippines. These kids who were just on the street begging and hoping for some money and some food. And so I partnered with an organization, Balay Samaritano, to start a baseball outreach program with them. And so this is a way of discipleship for these kids where they can come together as a team, learn together, and learn what it means to get disciplined and to be able to follow a coach. And ultimately that translates to our lives, how we follow our coach, right? And so that was, I felt like, a good direct way of sharing the gospel with them. My secondary ministry was to a hospital called CCMC. Right away when I first visited this hospital, it struck me because the pediatrics ward for the children was just like an open floor with beds just stacked everywhere. You would have 2 to 3 kids per bed, per hospital bed, and just an open, no privacy room. And so that was really hard for me to see. And so I wanted to do a ministry to the social workers who lived at the hospital, or who worked at the hospital. These are people who interact with the poor every day. Poor people who come in looking for help, looking for assistance for the medical bills. Because the thing about the system there is that you couldn't leave the hospital without having your medical bill paid in full. And you couldn't be sick in the hospital without having your mom or a caretaker with you at all times to make sure that you could pay. So you have mothers there who maybe have 5 or 6 children back at home, and she can't take care of them because she has to take care of her son or daughter in the hospital. And so I was able to pitch in sometimes for the neediest cases and really help with the social workers who invest in these people every day. So yeah, that was my primary ministries. Next slide.
So what I got to do, like Brad was saying, we got to explore many different ministries. Dave Shields was a great mentor and pastor. And so for about 2 months, he let us just kind of explore and meet a collection of people and what they do in Cebu. So very early on to being in Cebu, we came across this clinic, Glory Reborn. It's a clinic that has hired nurses and midwives. There's about 17 of them. And so I just completely fell in love with it. Obviously, there's newborn babies everywhere. So that was a real treat. And so the director and founder of Glory Reborn is a young woman named Hillary Overton. Her and her husband started this back in their early 20s. So you think we're young. They started a birthing clinic at like age 20 in Cebu City just on their own. And so it's been around for about 10 years now. And so I got to come in, and if any of you know me, like I'm not medical or anything, I'm not a nurse. This was very unexpected to find myself at a birthing clinic. And so what I was able to do instead of like delivering babies was working in their office and trying to add some structure and organization to their filing system and starting to enter in patients' files into the computer, because in the developing country, they are a little behind in those areas. So we were trying to start using the computer a little bit more and just making sure that each patient is taken care of and all their prenatal checkups are in line. And yeah, so it was a really good experience. I was very, very thankful to be a part of that. Also, during my time with Gloryborn, another responsibility that I had was to teach at Glory Hour, which was a special hour that the staff had every single day. So there, in the middle of the afternoon, 2 shifts would be overlapping, and so we'd have an hour where it was dedicated to Bible study and fellowship, and so that was very important to the directors, David and Hillary. And so they were kind of struggling in that area, and they were asking if I could help, so eventually I was just able to lead that. And so starting this past January of 2013, we started going through the whole Bible, so that was really fun. Something real quick, something within the Philippines, they're predominantly Catholic. And so within that culture, a lot of them feel like they don't really need to study their Bible or they don't even own a Bible. And so it's so important to me that we really dig into the Bible and actually have knowledge of God's Word. So that was really exciting to bring that to the clinic and to these women. And then the last thing I got to do for Gloryborn, it's still kind of fresh on our minds, is they celebrated their 10 years. So this was a huge party that Hillary wanted to put on. We invited all of the moms and babies from the past 10 years. So we had a good 1,500 to 2,000 people. And so it was my responsibility to plan this party. So that was really fun. That was what pretty much my time was dedicated to in the last 3 months of being in Cebu, was running around the city, just coordinating everything, getting the land, all the requirements with the government and stuff like that. So that was a huge task that I'm so thankful that I got to have experience with. And it was very unexpected that I'd be doing that. But anyway, so yeah, that was Gloryborn. That was a lot of my year, was working at this clinic. And then my secondary ministry came about with this lovely group of girls. They're anywhere from junior high to high school age. And this was a really cool thing because this wasn't really on any of our radars for me to be involved in this, not even Dave Shields. But they are part of a youth group that we helped out at on Saturday nights. And I was very, very quickly realizing that these girls really need someone to invest in their lives. Sure, they have a youth group, but as you know, it's so important to have mentors or small groups where you can get into closer communities and really talk about what's going on. And it was an opportunity for me to pour into them. So I volunteered just to go to their community, their neighborhood. It's called a barangay, and the barangay is called Tupolo. So that's why I just call them my Tupolo girls. So we'd hang out every Saturday. I'd always bring food. We'd just hang out, and of course we would learn about God and have different lessons. And then at the end of the year, I was able to each give them a Bible, which was really, really special. They were so excited, and we went through how to read the Bible and all the books and how to structure. So that was very, very exciting. They're very sweet, very dear to my heart, and got to see a lot of life change in these young girls. So yeah, okay, next slide.
Sure. So the last thing, it wasn't really a primary or secondary ministry, but this was a way that Kirstin and I could serve together, was to a place called the Children's Shelter of Cebu. This was an orphanage in the Philippines that was started 30 years ago by 2 missionaries from Minnesota. And so since then, it's grown to 3 houses for these orphan children and their own dedicated school. And it's just amazing to see how God has blessed this ministry. And so they have a big network of supporters back home in Minnesota and around the world. And so they wanted to be able to communicate what was happening in the ministry and kind of give people a visual demonstration of where their prayers and support are going. And so we got to film the kids, making videos for them almost every week. And so that just really touched our lives, and being able to see these kids grow up in just a drastically different life than what could have been. They could have been left and abandoned on the streets, but they've been taken in and are looking and seeking for adoption. And so, yeah, we got to film them every week, make videos, and kind of enhance the social media presence for that organization.
Yeah, so what's really cool about CSC is that the kids are absolutely thriving there. They have joy. It's sometimes easy to forget that they don't have parents. This is a great organization if you'd ever love to just connect with them or support them. We are huge fans of this organization. And so, yeah, again, they have around 80 or 90 kids. We're with these kids every week. This is kind of what sparks, well, we were already very passionate about filming, but this was a way that God was completely confirming for us an opportunity to film these children and make videos for an organization that desperately needed to, not desperately, but they needed to improve their presence in America. They wanted to make that connection from the Philippines to America, and so we were very happy to fill that gap for them. So this was definitely one of our most exciting opportunities. This started back in January, and so we were able to do that. And then the next slide. So probably many of you are wondering for our future, what's happening? Are we going back? Well, we felt like in the Philippines we had an absolute amazing time, and during that entire time, even beforehand, before we even left for Cebu, we felt this huge burden and passion to connect whatever's going on in the rest of the world to here in North America. There are many ministries, there are many amazing people and servants of God working out there in the different countries, and we just don't even know about it. And so we feel like one of the most compelling ways and one of the most realistic ways for us to comprehend what's going on out in the world is through film. So we're very passionate about film, and we view ourselves as connectors in connecting other countries to us here in North America. And so we're hoping now to, in the future, to not necessarily be long-term missionaries in one country. We feel like it'd be more beneficial, and we also feel like God's leading us to start our own nonprofit to film other nonprofits. So what we want to do is offer a gift to other nonprofits. We want to film their story or help them with their fundraising or their social media presence and bring that here back to North America to try to connect the church in a smaller way. Being in Cebu, we realized how small our world really is, and so we just want to continue that through film. So we're calling it In Transit Media. That will be hopefully our future. We're going to be pursuing that. I'll be working on that more, while Brad will be pursuing a full-time job for now in the Bay Area. And then in order to fund this, though, this does cost money to traveling and airplane tickets and all that stuff. So we're hoping to actually fund that through weddings called Love in Transit. So we got the opportunity to film a wedding in Cebu, and so now we're kind of dabbling with that. And yeah, so that's what our future looks like.
We'll just go to the next slide. So we're just blown away by what God is doing in Cebu, and so if you're interested in looking into this a little more, we have some links, some great organizations there. Glory Reborn is the clinic that Kirstin worked at. Children's Shelter of Cebu, we just talked about that, and also the Red Window Project. This was the project that our mentors, David and Kimberly Shields, went over to do in the first place. This is a school for victims of human trafficking. And so this is a way that once you're rescued from human trafficking, you can learn job skills and be reintegrated back into society. And so they do a great work. We just really want to push these organizations just for their wonderful work in the Philippines. And we're just amazed to see what God is doing through these organizations. So yeah. That's pretty much the scope of a tiny scope of our trip. We'd love to talk more. We'd love to connect together. And obviously, we're trying to make ourselves as available as possible. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your time, and we're just blessed to be able to have your support.
If you have not gotten a chance to go onto their website and even their Vimeo channel.